What's up, guys? It's me on. I'm back with another video, and I'm back with my 2022 NASCAR Cup Series predictions, going through the entire regular season and the playoffs. Whew. This is going to be one hell of a season with the introduction of the next gen car. Gateway's now on the schedule, other tracks moving around, different drivers in different places, new drivers having been brought up, new teams. It's gonna be a hell of a season, and I'm truthfully excited for it. So, with all that said, before we get into this, make sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, make sure you have post notifications turned on so you don't miss out on future uploads, and of course, make sure you use code ANJJ for free shipping on orders of $20 or more at Circle B Diecast. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's get into this. So, looking at this season with the next gen car, honestly, I feel like everybody's on a bit of a level playing field and whatnot. And it's going to take a bit for everybody to get used to it, at least in terms of competing against each other. Obviously, we've had the testing, but now it's actual competitive, competition. So it's going to be a wild ride, to say the least. And I feel like the first few weeks, it's going to be a lot of a learning curve, and racing against everybody, and then people will start to get a handle of it as the season goes on. So, looking at the Daytona 500 kicking off the season, I'm taking Bubba Wallace to win it. He's shown a lot of speed on the super speedways, and he won at Talladega last year in the playoffs. He wasn't in the playoffs, but he won the race. And let's be honest here. If he didn't have to pit under green for vibration during last year's Daytona 500, subsequently putting him a lap down and never getting that lap back because there wasn't a caution until the very end of the race, had he gotten back on the lead lap or had he not had to pit, he would have absolutely been contending up near the front and potentially could have won last year. It was only a couple of years ago where he was battling Denny Hamlin for second while Austin Dillon won the Daytona 500. So he can get it done. And I feel like this is the time where he's going to get it done. And it's going to be a monumental victory. Another big victory will be Kyle Busch the following week at Auto Club. Also, hi Auto Club. Nice to see you again. This will be the final race for Auto Club under the current configuration before we get the short track configuration, which, of course, that had to get pushed back. But for Kyle, it's going to be something where, this track has provided him with a lot of big moments. I believe he got his 200th career win across all three series at Auto Club, which is a monumental moment for him. So this win would be a big deal, and it would be a proper send-off to that configuration of the racetrack. Then we go to Las Vegas, and I feel like we're going to get a first-time winner here, and that's going to be Tyler Reddick. I feel like he's due for a win at this point, and let's be honest, a win for him and a win for RCR would be a big deal, and I feel like Reddick can get it done. So I have him going out to Las Vegas and getting it done. Then NASCAR heads off to Phoenix, and Kevin Harvick heads to a track that's been his playground for quite some time, and he ends his winless drought. He scores the victory, a big victory for him, all things considered. And, again, like I said, ends his winless drought. Then we head to the reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Kyle Larson says, oh, this track got reconfigured? Cool, I'm going to win anyway. Doesn't matter, because Kyle Larson's just that good. So he grabs his first win of the season. Then we head off to Circuit of the Americas, and I am so glad they moved this up on the schedule. Please, Mother Nature, do not affect this race, because that's what happened last year, and it fucked the race up. And as far as the winner goes, I'm taking Tyler Reddick. Yeah, 2 wins in the first 6 races for this guy. Now, last year at COTA, he qualified on pole, and he had a pretty good showing even despite the weather. to be honest, like, when it comes to, like, the mile and a halves, I feel like that's where he does best. But he's been getting better at the road courses, and I feel like when it comes to COTA, yes, he's got to hold off the likes of Larson, Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott, but I think he can get it done. And I'd love to see him get it done. To grab his second career win in the same season. And if he can stay consistent throughout the year, it will help him out tremendously moving forward. Then you have Denny Hamlin going out and getting a win at Richmond. You can't spell Martinsville without Martin, Truex Jr., so he grabs the win there at his bread and butter track, per se. And then Kyle Larson grabs 3 wins in the next 4 races, starting with Bristol Dirt. Once again, please, Mother Nature, do not fuck this race up, especially because this is going to be a night race. And then William Byron grabs the win at Talladega. For him, I feel like it's going to be a lot about consistency, because Larson's going to get the most wins. Elliott will get a win. Bowman will get a win. So for Byron, grabbing a win would be nice, but for him, it's going to be a much bigger deal to be consistent, because consistency is going to help him out in the long run. But I do think he survives Talladega and gets the win. And then Larson grabs wins at Dover and Darlington to have 4 on the season before we hit the All-Star race. And then we go to Kansas, and Kyle Busch grabs the win there. So, we get to the All-Star race, and I'm taking the meme pick, Alex Bowman. I say meme pick because every track that he's won at in the Cup Series, something has happened to it. Whether the track got taken off the schedule, Chicagoland, reconfigured, Auto Club, well, that's going to be happening, but it hasn't happened yet, but still. Or something else has happened to it. Like Martinsville, where he won in the fall, the spring race got shortened, I think by like 100 laps. You have the fact that he also won at Dover, Richmond, and Pocono last year, and Pocono lost its second date, it's back-to-back, doubleheader weekend, to now just being a one-race deal, or weekend, so, yeah. So, Bowman takes the win at the All-Star race. Hopefully, that will continue and Texas will go away. And then we go to Charlotte for the Coke 600, and I have Alex Bowman winning that race as well. I feel like he's a pretty good racer at Charlotte, as long as his car stays together. So if that happens, I feel like he can get the job done there and score a actual victory that will help towards the playoffs. Then we go to Gateway, which is now on the Cup schedule for the first time. And like I did with Road America and Nashville last year, I looked at Gateway and I looked at the history of that track in terms of the Xfinity. Well, it would be Busch and then Nationwide, and then the Truck Series as well, in terms of the Cup guys who have raced at this track in those series before, who have some resemblance of experience racing at Gateway. Harvick, Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Hamlin, Keselowski, Logano, Stenhouse Jr., McDowell, all did Xfinity, well, again, Busch or Nationwide Series, depending on when it was that they were racing. They've all raced in that, series. And then in the Truck Series, you have Harvick, Kurt Busch, Keselowski, Almirola, Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace, Cole Custer, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Eric Jones, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Justin Haley, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, Todd Gilliland, Ross Chastain, and Harrison Burton. In terms of a winner here, I'm going to take Brad Keselowski to score the win at Gateway, and getting Roush Fenway Racing their first win in quite a while, which would be nice to see. Now, Sonoma, I have going to Joey Logano. Nashville, I have going to Denny Hamlin. Road America, I have going to Chase Elliott. We head back to Atlanta, and I have Ryan Blaney taking the win there. Then at New Hampshire, I have Kevin Harvick scoring the win at another track of his that he's done really well at in the past, my home track, no less. Kyle Larson gets revenge for blowing a tire on the last lap, the last corner of the last lap of the first Pocono race from last season. Again, it's now one race instead of doubleheader, but he gets the win there. And then I have Denny Hamlin winning the Indianapolis road course as revenge for, well, you know what happened. Bodies Chase Briscoe into the grass. Briscoe comes back, doesn't know he's penalized, but probably didn't care as much either way. And he dumps Hamlin as like, okay, if I can't win, neither can you. Fuck off. But Hamlin gets the win. I kind of wanted to give this to either like Cindric or Briscoe, but I feel like somebody like Hamlin's going to pull it off. And then we get to the final 4 races before the playoffs. Michigan, Richmond, Watkins, Glen, and Daytona. Michigan I have going to Joey Logano. Richmond I have going to Kyle Larson. Watkins, Glen I have going to Kyle Busch, which I think would be a really nice thing to see because he's pretty good there. And then for Daytona, I have Kurt Busch getting his 1 win a year. He comes up clutch, grabs the win at Daytona, and puts himself into the playoffs as one of 14 winners this season. The final 2 spots on points going to Austin Cindric and Ross Chastain. For Cindric, I feel like he's going to have a really good rookie year. He's driving Brad Keselowski's old car, so that does help. And for Chastain, it's going to be a lot about consistency that will allow him to get this opportunity to get into the playoffs, because it's going to be a highly contested battle for that last playoff spot, as it usually is. And as such, I just think Chastain will come out on top above everybody else. So then we get to, well, before we get into the playoffs, here's what I've got in terms of the playoff standings, or based on wins and stuff. So Larson with 6 wins, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin with 3, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano with 2, and Bubba, Wallace, Mark Truex Jr., William Byron, Alex Bowman, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, and Kurt Busch, all with 1 win apiece. In the first round, the round of 16, Kyle Larson grabs the early win at Darlington, locks himself into the next round pretty easily. Kansas goes to Joey Logano. He's pretty freaking good there, so it's kind of to be expected. And then Bristol, Kurt Busch comes up clutch again and grabs himself another victory, this putting him into the second round, the round of 12, and what I think would be a big deal for him, because he'll probably need a win to get in there. Like last year, only this time, he actually gets the win. So joining them will be Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, William Byron, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, and Austin Cindric. Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman, and Ross Chastain eliminated. For Wallace and Chastain, it's basically going to be where they had an amazing season individually. They both got a win. Well, Bubba got one. Chastain will get to. But for them, it's to be a little bit expected that if they make the playoffs, they'll probably go out early. But nothing to hang their heads on by any means necessarily. As for Bowman and Truex Jr., for Bowman, the thing with him is he needs to put together more consistent runs and not necessarily have to utilize late race cautions and things like that to be able to pull these wins off. Now, that's great and all, but you need to have consistency, and that's something that Bowman has lacked. And this is coming from a Bowman fan myself. So consistency is the one thing that he really needs to work on this year, because if he can get better finishes, more consistent finishes, he can absolutely become a playoff or championship contender, especially running with Team Hendrick. As for Martin Truex Jr., it's going to be a bit of a carbon copy of last season, where he gets a win early. Last year he got like 2 or 3, and then after that last win, it's just a whole lot of not much in terms of momentum. Now, last year he won a race in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, so that helped. But for Truex, it's not going to be the same. He only has 1 win to like 3 last year from the regular season, and not having more wins like that, it's going to hurt him. He's going to have to rely a lot more on stage points and trying to get stage wins, and that's going to be something that's going to bite him in the ass as well, especially with the likes of Larson, Logano, Kyle Busch, Hamlin, Harvick to an extent, Elliott to an extent, Blaney to an extent, things like that. So I have Truex getting knocked out early. And the only reason why Cindric's above, like Cindric could get knocked out first round, but I feel like he's going to be more consistent. He's going to have better runs in the first round, and that's what's going to help him get above Truex and get in to the next round. So now we enter the round of 12. I have Ryan Blaney scoring the victory at Texas. He locks himself into the round of 8. Ross Chastain scores his first career Cup victory at Talladega, which I think would be awesome to see. Sorry. And it would also get Trackhouse their first win. And then for the Charlotte Roval, you could give this one to Chase Elliott, but I'm going to give it to somebody who's going to want it just as much, if not more, Kyle Busch. So Blaney and Kyle Busch advance along with Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, and William Byron. Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Austin Cindric eliminated. For Cindric, pretty easy to tell. Rookie season, he gets out of the first round, which is huge, but falls out in the second round. Nothing to hang your head on. Brad Keselowski's only going to get so far with Roush Fenway equipment as of right now, but still going to be a really good year for him, and he gets Roush Fenway their first win in a while back at Gateway. For Kurt Busch, he's come up clutch at the very end of the regular season. He came up clutch at the end of the first round, but it's the other Busch brother that comes up clutch in the round of 12, and for Kurt, he won't be as lucky. And then for Chase Elliott, the thing about this elimination is that you could make the argument that he could look like he might get eliminated and then go out and win the Roval, which is very plausible. He's won there before. Hell, he's won at Talladega before. He could win there and move on. But the thing about this is, for Elliott, he needs to start winning on the ovals more often. Yes, he can win on the road courses all he wants, but it's going to get to a point where if all he's doing is winning on the road courses, then everybody, it's just not going to be sustainable in the long run. So for Chase, he's got to start winning on the ovals again. And that's just the bottom line for me. Yes, you have the Roval in here, but again, Kyle Busch is just going to want that much more. And keep in mind, of course, Kyle Larson's really freaking good. Some of the other guys that are still in the playoffs are pretty decent, if not good, at the road courses. You know, and for Elliott, like you look at last season, it wasn't the type of year you would think to get from a championship, in a championship defense standpoint. And I feel like this year's going to be a lot of the same, where it's just going to be a whole lot of meh. He gets at least one win and tries to make some noise in the playoffs, but ultimately doesn't make enough to stay in. So Elliott eliminated, and Byron, it's his consistency that, a lot like Cindric in the previous round, it's going to be Byron's consistency that's going to keep him in. So then we get to the round of 8. Kyle Larson grabs the early round victory at Las Vegas, punches his ticket to the Final Four for the second year in a row. Then we get to Homestead. Tyler Reddick, this is where you get to shine the most. I have Tyler Reddick winning at Homestead at a track that is probably his best. It's got to be his best track by far. When he won his 2 championships in the Xfinity Series, Homestead was the regular season finale for both of them. And it just feels like a bit of a Cinderella story. Some would call it a bit of a fluke. But again, grabbing 2 wins early and then grabbing the win here, if he can get this far, it would be a massive deal for him and a big deal for Richard Childress Racing to see one of their guys get this far in the playoffs. I think he can do it. I really do. It'll be a hell of a story if he can. So I have Tyler Reddick taking the win at Homestead. And then for Martinsville, I have Kevin Harvick getting the win there, exercising his demons from 2020, and putting himself back in the Final Four after going winless last season. And filling up that last spot in the playoffs, I have Denny Hamlin advancing on points, beating out Joey Logano, with Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, and William Byron also falling out of the playoffs as well. So your championship 4 will be Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and Tyler Reddick. and I think y'all know where this is going. Kyle Larson grabs the win at Phoenix, and he grabs his second straight championship. Once again, Denny Hamlin comes up short. Another championship slipping just out of his grasp. And for Kevin Harvick and Tyler Reddick, they got here. Like, it feels like the championship battle will once again come down to Larson versus Hamlin, second year in a row. Hamlin being in the Final Four again, trying to get that first title. But Larson's just been so dominant throughout the season. Again, 6 wins in the regular season. He grabs 3 more in the playoffs, including the regular season finale, so that's 9 total. Hamlin doesn't get a win in the playoffs, but his wins and points from the regular season pretty much propel him through with a lot of really good runs throughout the playoffs. And he gets to the Final Four. He puts up a challenge, but it's not enough. Harvick might put up a better challenge than Hamlin, honestly, considering it's Phoenix and Harvick would have won there earlier in the year. And then for Reddick, maybe it's a little early for him to get this far, but it's a big deal for him that he did get this far because that's just huge for him and his team. So, in general, Kyle Larson, championship, second year in a row, 2-time champion. I feel like the next few years is going to be a whole lot of Kyle Larson dominance, and it's going to be a hard job to topple him. We'll have to see how this season goes. But with that said, that's what I've got for my, predictions. Obviously, when we get to about halfway through the year, we'll revisit this and see and based on what has happened, and then I'll see what I think will happen the rest of the way. But with that said, please make sure, once again, to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, use code ANJJ for free shipping on orders of $20 or more at Circuit Diecast, and I will catch you all next time. Peace.